On this podcast, I have the pleasure of speaking with Deleep Murali, who is the founder and CEO of Zscore. Dileep brings a range of experiences to this conversation that include stepping from a role with a global technology leader to start his venture in a space where he is shaping the data quality market. Hi, Tony Hackett is my name, and I'm your host on the Startups Roundtable podcast, where I invite guests to share their startup experiences, get an inside view on a startup's path that invariably has many twists and turns in the road. We look for the lessons worth repeating and the bumps we should avoid. In this conversation, Dileep takes us through the steps from idea to ongoing R&D, and he has also brought a perspective on external advice as he has been through 2 accelerator programs, one in Bangalore, India, and the other in Melbourne, Australia. And I started by asking Dileep to share a little about himself and the background to Zscore.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you for the kind words. My name is Deleep Murali. I am the founder and CEO of Zscore. We are a next generation data management company. Zscore was started with the sole ambition to provide intelligence to organizations. That's a lot more than regular analytics, but has a business focus. However, early in our journey, we realized that data usability was one of the biggest challenges and one of the reasons why both large and small organizations were struggling to become data-driven and also get the best from data to make their decisions on a day-to-day basis. After various customer interviews and doing small POCs, we figured out that the approach of augmented data management to provide intelligence to organizations was the path that we had to take. The problem of data quality, we realized that the problem of data quality was one of the most important ones that need to be solved in the next 12 to 24 months for companies to become data competitive using database decisions. So we made a pivot and started focusing on automating data quality and building smart systems around it to derive intelligence. So we started building a product that will use machine learning to solve this problem. We also used a design thinking based approach, and this entire journey was triggered by customer interactions and validations. And that's one of the unique propositions why our product offering is very different. It is also built for the knowledge age and not for the information age. The entrepreneurship bug bit me when I was doing my MBA back in 2012. My interest to understand the customer and different aspects of a business became very, very high. I was a product guy all along, and though I understood how to build products very well, somehow the need to holistically look at a product from all perspectives became my core interest. This led to me to do sales, product marketing, etc. And thus I understood and got an idea on how to build an organization, how to build a product that actually can scale across customers, and also how to build a business as well. So all these have helped me immensely in building Zscore thus far.
That's fantastic. A great summary. It actually made me think about one of my favorite books, actually, which is Crossing the Chasm by Jeffrey Moore. I'm not sure if you've seen that, where he talks about going from having early adopters who are really bought into the innovation to the point where people need to see the business value. And what you just described, I've seen something associated with it in the annual report of a telco. Just saw this recently. The telco has enormous spread around IoT, but incredibly slow and tiny growth around delivering solutions on it. And as you've described what it is that you do around data quality, it makes me think that the step that you're able to put in for organizations could actually allow them to accelerate extracting that business value. Are you starting to see that kind of initiative or opening in organizations?
Yes, of course, Tony. Our product is delivered on providing value to organizations. And early in our journey, we decided that we will focus purely on the financial sector. This includes banks, insurance companies, and other financial institutions as well. So typically, when we go to an organization, we tell them our story. There's a lot of some people understand it immediately because they face those kind of problems, and then there are people who are skeptical about the journey because a lot of them are used to the regular master data management, the MDM style of uh, databases and data journeys. Yet, since what we're telling is very practical, once we do pilots with them or POCs with them, they understand the true value as to what we are providing, and they're more than happy in working with us. And one of the other things that we've also realized is that data quality is a perennial problem that every company is facing at this point in time. So we believe it is going to soon become an Achilles heel for companies, and if it's not started becoming one right now, it will soon become an Achilles heel for them. And we've also started. There's so much of material outside that tells us how the ROI on analytics and AI and machine learning has been absent. It's been very low. So we believe we are already seeing a lot of customers being able to understand our product journey and are able to appreciate what we're doing right now.
That's great. Could I ask you to maybe step out of the solution and the technology and talk to me about becoming a founder and when that thought process started for you and how you exercised that in being an employee and how you got to the point of having the confidence to actually step from being an employee of a company to starting your own venture?
It started in 2009, and like I mentioned, I've been a product guy all along. Sometimes being a product guy, understand doing coding all your life it looks cool, but you also get very less amount of you don't have an idea on who your customer is, your what is the product outside in the real world, how does it work. There's very less information that you get, and that isn't a good thing. And somehow I started realizing that in 2009, and I felt it was not the right way to approach product development. So I ventured into other areas of the company, went into product marketing, went for various trade shows. I was still very technical there, but I went to various events, various conferences, global conferences, and started understanding about how customers talk. I started interacting with customers, and it changed my perspective on how products are being built and what customers exactly are looking at products. Typically we think that building a lot of features is actually very cool, but we understood that customers typically don't use that many amount of features. They just use the ones that they require, and they expect it to work all the time. And those were some of the eye-opening aspects of moving away from product development. And that's when you realize that the reality that you've lived in for so long is not true, and the quest to go outside and understand the other aspects eventually starts overtaking. And that was how I ventured out and decided to start my own company.
You've had the experience then of testing your idea out on yourself and your family, and then on customers and on investors and on accelerator startup programs. Could you maybe walk through a little bit of your experience with each of those, but also where some of the surprises and learnings may have laid?
Yes, absolutely. Given the nature of our product, I couldn't test it with family. But what we did is we spent a good amount of time, especially understanding product market fit. We spent close to about 3/4 of a year understanding product market fit, because the product that we were talking about, the idea that we had was it was very different, number one. Number two is it was very specific to data quality, because that's where we started. Though our product roadmap was very different, we started with automation of data quality. It was a specific focus on a specific problem. And then what happened was we actually went out, spoke to lots of customers. We had tons of meetings. I would just go and try to get meetings with everybody whom I thought was relevant to pitch this idea, see how their products, what kind of methods they actually used in their organizations. These were large companies. So I built a network, went and spoke to people, did free pilots, free POCs, short ones, and understood, got a lot of comments and what should I say, suggestions from people. And then we understood what exactly we wanted to build, what were we going behind, who were our users, what kind of users do we have, business users, do we have technical users. So we understood that, and we also created a user's journey as well. And all this created gave us the confidence that we were heading down the right track. So that's the way we started. And I definitely think understanding product market fit, going out to the market, talking to customers, talking to people, validating the product, the idea, is extremely important. It kind of it's very fundamental, and it kind of cements your the idea and the thoughts you have in your mind, whether they're right or wrong. It's a very humbling experience as well.
It's fantastic validation. And when you said it took a year, I'm sitting here thinking, I bet a year felt really, really slow at the time, but it probably vanished before your very eyes.
Yes, actually it did. Today, when I look back, obviously you could see what are all the mistakes. If I were to do it again, it wouldn't take a year. It would probably take maybe a couple of months. But at that point in time, typical rookie mistakes. We ended up going all over the place. We didn't have a focus, and then later down the line, we realized, it's what mistakes we were making. And most importantly, this is when a startup founder, an entrepreneur, has to show character, because there's a lot of criticism. There is a lot of unforeseen incidents that happen. We all know time is money, and startups don't have time. Neither do they have money. So it is tough. And but we were supposed to do that, and if we had not done that, then I wouldn't be here talking to you today. So sometimes we have to accept those mistakes and eventually move on. But the best part that comes out of it is the learning experience. And I think that's most important.
Dileep, I'm picturing that if you weren't at the start, that you're probably a fantastic time manager now. How do you go about prioritizing, especially as you're doing projects and delivering outcomes for companies? And I'm sure that they're encouraging you to develop down certain paths, and you're taking a step back and looking at the broader marketplace. Can you walk me through how you manage that, taking on ideas, but then working out what to pair off and what to actually attack straight away?
It's a very interesting question, and it's important as well, because we, as I mentioned, we are automating data quality, and pretty much every company right now has data quality issues. And when we talk to customers, a lot of them actually are very excited working with us. So they come up with various suggestions on different features that they would like to see. But we decided upfront that we will not implement each and every feature that the customer requires. We would go back and we would look at how our product stack is going to work, and how can we solve these problems in the most efficient way, and not try to build all features that or try to solve every problem that is out there. So this focus has really helped us in building our product stack, understanding the features that we want to build, and engaging with partners and customers to solve this mammoth data quality issue or problem. So that is the approach that we've taken, and it seems to have paid off till now.
You made me think about a podcast I listened to a little while ago, and it was from A16Z, the VC firm. And they were talking about innovators and large incumbents. And if I sort of distill down what I remember them saying, they spoke about the innovator has to work out distribution, and the large company needs to make sure they can innovate faster than the innovator can work out distribution. So as you spoke about the partners, is that a reasonable way to be thinking about it?
So partners are very critical for us. We earlier in our journey, we understood that if we had to succeed, we needed to go with a partner-based approach. And there are two reasons why. Like I mentioned earlier, we cannot solve every problem that is out there. And so we understood that we'd have to engage with partners to solve very specific problems. The other aspect is understanding what kind of a technology base we will have. So we said we will have two kind of partners. We'll have technology partners and we'll have implementation partners. So technology partners pretty much help us in providing the infrastructure on which our product can run. And since we deal with data at a very large basis, typically talking about petabytes and terabytes and petabytes of data. So we needed the right infrastructure, the right support system to actually go and solve these problems. Then came the implementation partners, where we're talking about enterprise customers who have huge number of data challenges. And the initial aspect, given that we are a startup, we cannot solve every problem. And our product journey to build what we want to is going to be, it's going to take time. We said we will go with implementation partners who will help us with implementation and also solve these customer-focused data quality problems. In at Zscore, we call that we are building something called a unified data model that is very specific to the organization, very specific to the industry vertical. So these organization-specific problems, we provide a platform so that our implementation partners can build, solutions that are very specific to those problems, turnkey solutions, basically.
The one thing that's come through in this conversation, well, a couple, but one thing that's really clear to me is that what you do is really clear to you, which means that what you do is very simple to explain to customers and prospective customers. If the problem looks like this, then Zscore is the company for that. Were you always, if that's true, was it always as tight a focus? Was it as clear in your mind when you started as it appears to be now?
No, it wasn't. Actually speaking, when I started Zscore, we had a different product in mind. We had a different idea. But then we understood slowly. We started listening to our customers, number one. Number two is we started talking to people who understand these markets very well, who understand the technology very well, who understand the space very well. And you constantly learn from people, and that's something that I've learned a lot. And I've had some valuable mentors. Some of them have taken their personal time and who've told me, who've been very open and honest, and giving me the right information, telling me where I was wrong. One of the things I've felt is the most important aspect in here is that you need to be ready to take criticism from people, and these are genuinely constructive criticisms that will help you. And that's how we were able to get into what we're doing right now. We were able to craft our product better, and we were able to craft our messaging, our positioning. It took quite a bit of time, but yes, it's. I would say I'm very happy with how it has panned out.
What's your commentary on the startup programs, such as the Startup Bootcamp and the NetApp Accelerator program? If there was a potential founder listening to the podcast today, and they were thinking, well, how would I work into those programs? Why would I try and get a spot in one of those programs? What would you say to them?
So when we started our journey, we made a lot of mistakes, and then somewhere along the line, your past experiences help you in putting you in the right path, and that's when when we started identifying that data quality was a space that we pivoted into it, and we started understanding product market fit and everything. That's when NetApp Accelerator happened, and NetApp is a technology partner with us. We've become a global partner with NetApp, so it's been a great journey for us with NetApp, and we've been able to use the services of NetApp. Personally, I've been extremely shameless in going and asking for help at NetApp, and the NetApp team have been nothing short of spectacular. They have helped us at every step. We've understood our product better. We've had the privilege to have mentors in NetApp from a technical perspective. They have been immensely helpful in creating our product stack, helping us in understanding what kind of stack do we have to use. This comes in very handy because as a startup, you don't have too many people with you, and when you need that kind of expertise to understand what is right and what is wrong, these mentors are extremely helpful. The second aspect is the connections that you get. So NetApp was great at that as well. We are now partners with NetApp, like I mentioned, and we work very closely with the sales team in Australia and in India, and the Australian team, we work with them on a day-to-day basis, and it's a dream come true for every startup when you work with such a large organization, and that is a result of of the journey that started from the accelerator. With respect to Startup Bootcamp was a shot in the arm for us. We had already decided Australia was going to be a market we're going to focus on, and when Startup Bootcamp happened and we got into Melbourne and we started working with our companies, that's how we got our first major customer in Australia. And Startup Bootcamp has been, they've been one of the biggest reasons for the success that we've had in Australia. If you have the right focus and you're solving the right problems, these kind of accelerators and incubators would be just the perfect, they can give you the perfect boost. And for us, we had strategically decided we would not get into too many accelerators and incubators. And that's primarily because we wanted to focus. We are a very revenue driven organization. We wanted to go and acquire more customers. The fact that every incubator or accelerator takes more time, and you have to actually spend that amount of time to get into the program and do justice to the program. And being a startup, you don't have that much amount of resources to spend. We said we will go and get into accelerators and incubators only from a strategic perspective. Say, for example, if we have to enter a new market, and that becomes a perfect opportunity for you to use an accelerator to get inside, understand the market. Say, for example, when we worked with Startup Bootcamp, one of the primary things we wanted to understand is the Australian market. We had no clue about how to price in the Australian market. What is the customer psyche? What do customers expect? So these are things that we learned and we applied rather well, and that's how we got our first customer. So this has been a strategy. So accelerators and incubators, from a Zscore perspective, has been a very strategic decision.
That's a fantastic answer. And when I've looked at different programs, I've looked at it from not being a founder, and I've looked at it, I guess, academically. But the way you've just explained it, it's such a strategic decision that you've selected one in the hope that you would be selected. And I'm not saying that you weren't humble in that, but you selected one because of what it could offer globally for reach, and the second one for what it could offer footprint, location, geography. That's a really interesting way to dissect it. That's where we leave it today, and I appreciate Dileep sharing his knowledge and experiences. Feel free to get in touch. Maybe you would like to provide feedback or even suggest a future guest. But that's it for today. Thank you and bye for now.